Thank you, Julie. Let me recognize His Excellency the President, Deputy President, Prime Cabinet, Cabinet Ministers, and all guests and governors I saw here. The question I have to answer it from the problems that I had before we saw the changes. When going to high school, I would board a bus and leave, and my mother would only expect to hear my voice when I came back. There was no communication, there was zero. To get a telephone, Mwangi can testify here, it took so long to get, if you get anything like that. But the government invested in ICT infrastructure. This ICT infrastructure completely changed the way the world works in Kenya. A lot of young people take it for granted when they get their passport within 2, 3, 4 days. For us, it used to be 6 months, 1 year before you got the passport. There are so many other government services that have been digitized since that time. I think 100% of the government services are online. We are able to pay our taxes online. We are able to communicate online. We are doing several things online because of infrastructure. I'm emphasizing this because Hino also said, going forward, we must look at the infrastructure that will take us forward. Today, with the little infrastructure that we have in northern Kenya, a mother takes a smartphone on a child's chest, and through AI, they are able to identify the kid has tuberculosis. The nurse can do that. This is something that used to be done by radiologists and other things. We need to expand that throughout the country. And what I'm saying, what we need going forward from today is actually to build the future infrastructure for AI, because AI is disrupting education, disrupting health, disrupting agriculture, and that we need to have its own infrastructure. And because of geopolitical contestation, there is a problem that we must begin to solve now. That what every country is doing is to build their sovereign AI, but there is a problem which the president knows very well, energy. We need to have energy. We cannot talk about AI going forward without significant amount of energy. I think we're at less than 5,000 megawatts. We probably need another 10,000 megawatts within a very short. Companies like Microsoft try to invest in that space. We need to work with the private sector and build the infrastructure.
Is to see it as a tool. Ni kama jembe, yeah? It doesn't replace the person who needs to do the work. Maybe jembe is wrong in today's environment, but it's a tool. Your Excellency, I do want to come to you before we open to the floor. As a leader, same question. What are you proud of in terms of what we've achieved so far? And where are we going? But as a citizen, as a farmer, where do you really want us to go? Please tell us.
Thank you very much, Julie. And good morning, everybody. Vision 2030 in 2008 became the roadmap for us as a nation to think long-term about our development. Maybe I see some people straining to see. Long-term for us to plan our way into prosperity. And we must commend President Mwai Kibaki and the vision bearers then, who provided a platform for us to put together what today is finally in the sunset years. Vision 2030 has provided a framework for us to figure out our development. It set out that Kenya should be an industrialized nation, middle income, high quality of life in a safe environment. All the targets we set for ourselves, we have been given a review of where we are on the economic pillar, on the social pillar, on the political pillar, and the enablers. And we have been given a scorecard by the Vision 2030 Secretariat. We have done fairly well in many aspects. We've done well in others more than others. We've been given the figures on the political pillar. We are at 80 plus. I think we have an A. And you can see it. We have a new constitution. We have a robust Bill of Rights. We have a democratic state. We have an open society, a rule of law. We have a working judiciary. We have a civil society that is not constrained. And we have made ourselves a very proud nation. In fact, globally, Kenya is recognized as a democratic country. It is part of the reason why in 2023-24, I paid a visit to America, and the single most important component was the fact that we share in our celebration of freedom and democracy. We have been given indication as to where we are with the economic pillar. In fact, I think of all the pillars, the economic pillar is where we have done not very well, at around 50, I think it was 52, 53%. On the social pillar, we are at around 60. We have made progress. Today, we have significantly in our region, we've done very well in terms of paved roads. We have 20,000 kilometers of paved roads. We have a working SGR. We have an expressway. We have dualed some of our roads. We've extended electricity. We now have 10,000 homes. 10 million, 10 million households going to 11 million households connected to electricity. Our transition on education is significant. We have done very well. But why are we having this conversation? And I want to thank the people of Kenya. When I asked the country that it is time for us to have a national conversation about the long-term vision of our nation, we have been explained to why. Number one, Vision 2030 will come to an end in the next 3 years. Medium-term plan 4 is ending in 2027. For us to plan medium-term 5, medium-term plan number 5 is going to take from 2027 to 2032. Yet Vision 2030 is ending in 2030. So we need to have the longer-term vision for us to be able to plan medium-term 5. Reason number 1. Reason number 2, when we figured out Vision 2030, 20-something years ago, the world was much different from what we have today. Technology had not taken the space it occupies today. The advent of AI was not with us. We didn't have the serious effects of climate change the way we have today. We had a completely different situation. It is important that at this point in time, we give ourselves another opportunity to think about the long-term development of Kenya in the context of the world that we live in today. Number 3, when Vision 2030 was developed, it was developed before the new constitution. The new constitution provides us with a better and clearer framework on how to think long-term. And therefore, it is important that we engage in this exercise in the context of a new constitution. A new constitution that does not request us to consult the people. No, it is mandatory. The reason why you find in some cases many people do not understand, do not relate to Vision 2030 was because there was no public participation to the extent that we know public participation as provided for in the Constitution at the moment. And therefore, we have an opportunity, this time round, different from the opportunity that was in 2008, to formulate a long-term plan, one that is done by the people, not by government, not by bureaucrats, by the people themselves. And therefore, we need to give ourselves the opportunity, and this opportunity that we have to think about Kenya long term. We want to pick the minds of everybody, the farmers, entrepreneurs, students, technocrats, everybody. Let them tell us what kind of future that we all want to think about. And nobody should assume that any one of us has the monopoly of knowledge. This cannot be, and I make it very clear, this is not a government project. This is a people's project. So Kenyans must prepare themselves. It is a responsibility put on our shoulders collectively. And I will be speaking as a citizen as well, because I also have aspirations on what I think our country should be, beyond me being a leader today in Kenya. And number 4, just so that we contextualize this, the center of gravity, global gravity, in terms of growth, is moving to Africa. Africa today is pivotal. Why? Because of 4 reasons. Number 1, we have the largest reserves of renewable energy. We have the youngest population, a population that a quarter of the world's population will be living in our continent by 2050. Number 3, we have the largest market that is emerging. Number 4, we have the largest reserves of uncultivated arable land for food security going into the future. And therefore, as the center of gravity, global growth moves to Africa, we must position Kenya appropriately so that we become that epicenter. It is for those 4 reasons in my thinking that this is the moment for us to imagine the Kenya that we all want into the future. Many people may say, this being a year where we are going into politics, maybe this should not be the opportunity for us. Now, I want to tell them, Kenya is bigger than any election. For far too long, we have made elections to look like it is a matter of life and death. It is not. Yes, it is important. And the reason why we have not achieved some of our targets is because we have made our plans not with the foresight of the future, not thinking about the next generation, but simply thinking about the next election. And that is how we haven't met some of our targets. And I speak from a position of knowledge, and I speak from a position of experience. It's not always that you become a president of a country. I have the privilege to be the president today. And I want to speak from that experience, that the pressure that always you have, even when you know as a leader this is the right thing to do, you are told always, this will affect your next election, don't do it. This will affect your next election, don't do it. Many are telling me, oh, you know, why don't you concentrate on the next election? Leave this thing, it can be done some other time. I'm telling them, the next election will come and go. Kenya must think beyond the next election. Kenya must think for the next generation. And I want to ask all of us here to think beyond any election cycle or any administration. We must think about the next generation. Let me conclude. I hope I'm not taking too much time. Let me say the following. I have listened to the presenters. I've listened to Professor Anyang' Nyong'o. I've listened to Adrian, the good young man who is 7 years old. I have also listened to Professor Hino. And as we have this conversation, I have picked 4 things. Number 1, Professor Hino has said, for those countries that have succeeded, and he's given us examples of Singapore, Malaysia, he's told us about Vietnam, and all the other countries. What was central to their quantum leap was the people. Not the oil, not the gold or resources, it was the people. And we are lucky as the people of Kenya because we have the people, and they are very hard working. So we have what it takes to lift this country to the next level. Number 2, he has told us to pay attention to inequality. A very serious challenge in our nation is inequality. We have too many people who still sleep hungry. We have too many people who are jobless. We have too many people who don't have income. We cannot progress as a nation when we cannot take care of the vulnerable. So Professor Hino has told us 20% of the bottom poor account for only 5% of income, while 20% of the rich people, of those of us in the higher category, control 50% of income. So 20% bottom, 5% of income, 20% top, 50% of income, meaning 10 times what the bottom has. We have to pay attention. We have to pay attention. How we lift those low-income people, how they access, how their children go to school, how their medical bills are paid, how they access employment opportunities, and how we create equality. Number 3, he has told us Our opportunity is in raising small, medium, micro enterprises. We have an opportunity there. Sometimes we think they don't matter. But the good professor had told us that is where our opportunity is. How do we make micro, small, and medium enterprises grow? How do they access credit? How do they access opportunities? How do they access business? That should be we should pay attention. And then number 4, he has told us to pay attention to accountability, to dealing with corruption. He has told us 3 things. We now have a conflict of interest law, which we signed into law. There are many people who want to challenge it because it closes many doors on the people who have access to power, who want to use that power to access contracts and many things and many things. Number 2, he has told us about EGP. We have been trying to implement EGP for many years. I am very happy that finally we have moved government procurement to an electronic platform where contracts can be transparent. We can know who is being allocated, which contract, for how much, and whether it matches the market parity. And he has told us that technology must play a very central role. I was listening to Mercy Mwangangi, our CEO of SHA, and he was saying the single most serious challenge he faces is how to stop fraud. You know? And we are very happy that finally, using technology, we are able to stem theft, fraud, and corruption. And to the good professor who has said here, going forward, technology is going to play a significant role in us taking this forward. So, in conclusion, let me say this. To the people of Kenya, nobody has a monopoly of good ideas. Beyond Vision 2030 is our collective responsibility. We must step up. It is a constitutional responsibility to each one of us. It is an obligation to each one of us to implement the Constitution. And part of implementing that Constitution is to figure out how we appropriate, access, and avail all rights that are provided for in the Constitution to everybody in Kenya. Whether it is human rights, electoral rights, rule of law, access to water, access to education, freedom from hunger, making sure that the Constitution, what the Constitution says, that every citizen must access the highest standards of health, the highest standards of education, the highest standards of housing. It is our responsibility collectively for us to have a plan on how this is going to be attained. And we have the opportunity. I want to pledge here that government is not going to lead the talks. It is going to facilitate. This is about the people. Whatever platform that is required to be provided, we are going to provide the platform. Let the people, in their diversity, the religious community have ideas, private sector have ideas, farmers like myself have ideas, students have ideas, the academia have ideas, our good friends in civil society, they have ideas. Let us bring the cocktail of ideas and have a plan for our country into the future. It is our opportunity. Let us not abdicate. Let us not delegate. Let us not run away from that responsibility. It is our duty, it is our obligation constitutionally to make sure that we think about the future of our nation so that Adrian, sitting here with us, 7 years old, will know what the future is going to look like. Thank you very much. I hope I have not taken too much, but this is the opportunity for us, and I am very happy to be part of this as a Kenyan myself. And believe you me, I will be part of it as a Kenyan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Your Excellency. Thank you for the context. And Mark, just be on standby. I will be coming to you. That context is very important. We've heard that the center of gravity for growth in the world is shifting to Africa. The world doesn't want it to shift to Africa, but inevitably it is shifting. And African countries, through their strategic actions and positioning, will determine whether it shifts on the world's terms or it shifts on our terms. Kenya today, and Your Excellency will confirm, has been tasked with building an AU that is fit, informing the build of an AU that is fit for purpose for Africa today and the Africa we want. Kenya is doing that. Yes, and it is important. Kenya today has been tasked by the world with convening around the issue of trust. The Trust Summit is being held in Kenya under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the world is looking to Kenya to tell the world, what are we learning about how we rebuild trust in communities, in societies, between citizenry, with government? How do we rebuild trust? So Kenya has a responsibility to think deeply about where she is going for ourselves, but also for Africa. Does that matter to us? I hope it does. I hope it does. Mark, I'd love to come back to you now to take us round the room. Yes, I see Wananchi hands. We're ready to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie, and thank you for those who... So I'll just start here, and then you'll pass it back to the lady right behind you, young lad. So crisp and short.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Karanja Kinyanjui. I'm an investment professional, born, raised, and living in Nairobi. I'm a portfolio associate at a Pan-African venture capital firm. So on a day-to-day basis, I get the privilege to speak to entrepreneurs across Kenya and Africa and deploy meaningful capital into their businesses. I give you this context because every day I get to see Kenyans and their talent and ambitions on a day-to-day basis, and even back and support these businesses. But I also see a lot of strong ideas and entrepreneurs held back by gaps in capital, infrastructure, and execution as well. And so for me, a vision beyond 2030 is very personal because it affects the trajectory of my career in the investment space, fundamentally. It also affects the legacy that I leave behind for my family. I'll be not so old, but approaching retirement by the time 2060 comes about. And so I need to personalize these goals for you as my leaders so that you understand what needs to be done for me as Sean. I can't speak for everyone here, and the mic will go around the room, but I have 3 key goals that I need to achieve by the time I am 60. And the first one is to be a captain of my industry. I want to sit like James Mwangi here on the podium and say, I'm a global allocator of capital, that people can come to Kenya and say, where's Sean? Let's give him capital. And under this framework of investment that we'll lay out for 2060, I will be able to manage and deploy that capital into our entrepreneurs and spur our economies. But for that to happen in this plan, we need to make sure that there is predictable monetary policies, strong and transparent institutions, investor confidence so that when someone says, I am domiciling my fund in Kenya, they're not scared that most of it will go away to punitive measures or lack of transparency or get lost entirely because there's no strong ecosystem to support the businesses they invest in. And Mr. President, I do agree with you. Fundamental to that goal of mine is going to be eradicating poverty, because businesses and the investors behind them are only as good as the income that the everyday Mwananchi has to spend on the products and services that these businesses offer. So that needs to be a thing. And Mr. President, just like you, I have a love and passion for agriculture. At our fund, we get to invest into agriculture products and projects across the continent. And I've seen the math, I've seen the data, I've seen the capital flows. And let me tell you, young people, agriculture is the way to go. We have the opportunity to become the food basket of the world. And one day I want to say that I want to step down from my role as the future James Mwangi and get into agriculture at scale. I want to become a farmer and export and feed the world. But to do that, the economics of farming in Kenya also need to work. Access to markets, logistics and transport, water, access to land, all of those need to work for that dream to happen. And my final dream, I just got married a month ago, and, and I plan to go forth and multiply. And so being a father, being a husband, being someone who raises a family in Kenya is core to me, because I need to make sure that my kids grow up in a meritocracy so that their education, their skill set, and the opportunities that are before them are what will open up doors for them, not their last name, not where they were born, who they know. That's the kind of future that I want for my children. And I want to be old in my 60s, living in a Kenya that works, and one that I can be happy in, and I can say, najivunia kuwa Mkenya.
Thank you. Over to you. All right, let me pass it over to you. And let's keep it short and crisp. And Sean, just as an interjection, 60 is not to grow old. There are 60-year-olds here who feel targeted by what you've said. But I get your point, young man. 60 is not old. We still have very young 60-year-olds here. So, tuendelee nalo. Keep it short.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Achieng Masawa. I come from the great county of Siaya and a woman representative aspirant. I'm a social impact and enterprise-based consultant. I had a privilege to study in Israel and also study entrepreneurship in US through Mandela Washington Fellowship. I'm also a former student leader at University of Nairobi, where I represented gender affairs and also vied for chairmanship back in 2015. And as we sit here today, I am so grateful that this conversation is taking place. It has been so long overdue. I come from a county where we are the source that have been on the streets far too long. And I'm really, really grateful that one of the least developed pillar is economic pillar. And being a youthful country with a young population, I believe, and today is the International Youth Day, I believe that focusing our energy in enabling the capacity of our young people is the way forward. And today I am greatly challenged that the President of our great Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, has led the National Vision Board. I would like to challenge all of us as young Kenyans and every Kenyan to also develop our personal vision board to contribute to the growth of our country and to the journey to Singapore. Thank you so much.
Over to you, over to you. Melody, you have someone?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, first of all, my name is Hilary Ojwang. I am a Gen Z of this nation and a graduate mechanical engineer. So my comment as of today is that, first of all, I want to thank you for this initiative, because we came up with Vision 2030, and we are now we are developing a relay of visions. So we have Vision 2030, handing it over to Vision 2060. So as we hand it over to Vision 2060, we really just have to reflect and check back and see what is our progress in the social pillar. We have made some progress. Our progress in the political pillar has been significant. But our challenge, Your Excellency, which is the key and the core of changing the life of our people, is the economic pillar. And as a young person, as a Gen Z of this country, I want to thank you because you are saving us in disguise. Because when I'll be old, and in my 60s, in 33 years to come, the current generation, the generation Alpha, will be asking us for jobs and asking us, what did we do when we were young that they are jobless? That is why I'm thanking you, because by Vision 2060, we are trying to solve the solution of creating jobs for our people. My comment is that as our president, and we are praying for you, and we are going to hand over the job to you once again in 2027. I just want to ask you that in that last term, Your Excellency, focus on the economic aspect kindly. Our young people are still hungry. We still have few opportunities in our country. We want our economy to be strengthened. You say that a significant percentage of our country, our land, which is arable, is still underused. Let us utilize that. Let us have more food in our country that we can export. We can even process and export final goods to the global market. That way we'll have solved a lot of problems for our people and create opportunities. When you look around you, majority of the things we use here are imported. If you look at the speakers, the cars around here are imported. We will only empower our people if we can do much of the job here and export to the global market. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. God bless you, and I appreciate us for gathering here today.
Asante sana. Naona sasa kipaza sauti upande huu pia kimeruhusu. Kuna dada hapa, jitambulishe kwa dakika 10 nawe toa mchango wako.
Before you hand over the mic, ningependa participate. And to me, Your Excellency, I will say thank you very much. Kama si wewe, vijana wewe kwanza. Your Excellency, remember I'm a clinical student from KMTC, student leader. Na pia hii angalia mahali uangalia wanafunzi wamemaliza course zao za KMTC, and pia Masi Mwangangi angalia mahali hawa watoto pia. Tuangalie sisi wanafunzi wa KMTC, please.
Hello. Before he just adjourns it, I'm Brian. I'm the founder and CEO of B. Malsons. I just have one review to just add. We've been actually trying to say, how are we going to create more jobs? Currently in Kenya, we have almost 11,000 startups. So if the government can just, let's say back up these 11,000 startups and just, let's say they just get funding, for example. Each startup can just employ almost 50 people. So those 50 people, as in, if they are now given actually money, they can actually now create more employment actually now for the young youths now.
Hello,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, let me talk. My name is Anne Adhiambo Onyango. I am a volunteering secretary actually for a community-based organization known as Tekeleza Mtaani Initiative. So my question is about climate action. For me, I define Vision 2030 as attaining goals for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So I'm gonna go to SDG number 13, that is climate and its impact. We've been seeing news being warned that El Nino is coming September to December. So apart from us sending Red Cross to rescue missions and all that kind of thing, what are we doing with the drainage, and what are we doing to make sure that the adverse climatic repercussions don't get to us as individuals? Kindly, when you are thinking about 2030, think about climate change and its impacts, because I work with the community and it is not looking good at the grassroots. Thank you.
Asante.
Sorry about the challenge with the sound, and we're trying to get, I had promised this young lady here, na hapa, na point tu, kwa sababu ya muda, lakini pia wewe utaposition watu pia. I love this sign. Let me just say, Yes, I love the hands. I see you all. I appreciate that. And this is what we are starting. So hatufungii mtu yote, lakini tunawapa wale ambao wanaweza zungumza kwa muda tu. I love the passion and I love the reaction. We just also need to give that side of the room. So that's why we're kind of giving an opportunity for those on the other side of the room. Young lady, please keep it safe, short, and then we will come to as many. But as you would appreciate, there's other parts of the program, and there's another opportunity for an open mic. I promise you. I promise you. Quick.
Thank you so much. I'm called Lucy Wanjiru Mbugua, a youth leader from Nakuru County and aspiring senator come 2027 next year. And my question to the president is, there was a clip that Rigiji talked. We know Vision 2063 will go beyond your administration and possibly several generations. Now my question is, how will you make sure Vision 2030 belongs to Kenya and not to a particular government, so that the future administration continue implementing it regardless of who is in power? And as I finish, I want to say that I want this Vision 2030 to be a Kenya where there is no corruption, and where youths, we are employed regardless of who we know, as long as we are educated. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Asante, asante, asante. Tumsikie dada hapa.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Mr. President and the nation at large. My name is Nora Kerubo Rangi. I'm from the Open University of Kenya. First of all, President Treasurer, first of all, I want to thank you so much, Mr. President, because after almost 36 years, I was able to go back to the university and undertake my degree in business entrepreneurship and education. I was just watching you on a television set like this, and you were inaugurating Open University of Kenya, and I saw the opportunity, and I wondered, how doesn't Kenya know about this opportunity? Open University of Kenya is an online program where you learn from anywhere in the country, in the world. Continue with your business, continue with your business, with your professional life, but at the same time, upgrade yourself. So what I want to say is, I've seen a very huge opportunity in this space. So President, as we are continuing, can we continue to implement this online learning space? I have seen students from across the world. I've seen students from across the continent coming to Open University. We are 3 years old only. We started with virtually zero, and we are now 30,000 students. So as Kenya, we can capitalize on this economic pillar and export education. Kenya is at the pillar of education, and they are coming from all over online. So I would like to see Open Primary Schools of Kenya, Open Secondary Schools of Kenya, and the rest is history. I've also seen people from other countries come here for the primary school education, for the secondary school education. So as we are 2030, that is also another pillar. People trust Kenya, the education in Kenya. So that is a pillar I would like to capitalize on and take advantage on. There are huge revenues in education. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Asante sana. Kuna wepo wengi huko. Acha nimtape ukaka mwenye shati yake ya maroon.
The President, the Deputy President, and all protocol observed. My name, I might struggle to communicate because I've never addressed such kind of a congregation, but you'll get my points. I have very delicious points and very ambiguous points. Now, this is a national conversation that personally I expected the leaders from across the political divide to be able to attend. I'm quite disappointed that some leaders are not present. My name is Samson Ligala. I come from Kisumu County. My governor, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, is among the leaders that are, spearheading the conversation. So as you know and as you understand, leaders from Kisumu like myself, we are very brilliant and we are supposed to be on the conversation and on the table. Now, Vision 2030 was formed when I was in class 3. I didn't know much about it, but my father, my late father, used to really talk about it like every day. So I got to understand, and I'm glad that today I'm part of the team that is talking, that is addressing the country, and I hope that in future, the foundation that was built, we can have a conversation on it and be able to make changes. Personally, I want to talk about my ward because in 2027 I will be the MCA for North Nyakach Ward in Kisumu County, God willing. Kule, nataka kuongea kwa Kiswahili kwa sababu si wengi wanaelewa Kizungu wenye wananiona kutoka huko. Agriculture. Rais, naomba mnisaidie, mnipatie muda kidogo nimalize. Okay, thank you. So we should work on inaitwa value addition and empower the farmers at home and everyone, wale wananchi wenye wako chini. Hii conversation vile rais amesema tuweke conversation ikuwe kuhusu wananchi wenye wako chini, si leaders peke yake. Thank you for the opportunity.
Melody, I'm right here with the young one. Melody, I'm right here at the front, just to speak to
government officials, ladies and gentlemen, children, boy and girl. Is it afternoon? Yeah, good afternoon. So my name is Blessed Barak Juma. I'm 15 years old, and it's a great pleasure to actually be speaking in front of the president today as an advocate for the rights of the children, especially child participation. And first of all, I would like to thank the president because I would say he's really considering the children because of bringing up the first state department of children's services in Kenya. So, Mr. President, we really thank you for that. And I would like to also thank him for this vision 2060, beyond 2030, because as of 2060, I'll be 49 years old. And hopefully, God willing, if all of you will be there, all the children, they'll give me an opportunity to be the president of the Republic of Kenya. And I would say that this dream is going to continue, and vision beyond 2030 is going to be a great impact, not only to the people of Kenya, but to the children of the Republic of Kenya. So I will request child participation, not only by the voice, but children be included in decision-making, implementation of the vision beyond 2030.
Good afternoon, everyone. I really thank the Government Delivery Unit for inviting us to this conversation. So first of all, I'm going to go to the Agenda 2060. In inclusion of children, we would like to have the food security improved by investing in smart agriculture and true strength in schools feeding programming. And also coming to child protection services, we would like to strengthen the system supporting vulnerable families and ensuring every child knows their rights. Mostly protecting children must be included in creating these decisions in the 2060 agenda. Thank you so much.
Julie, are you ready to take it up? Just because of time and the next agenda, but there's another open mic and I appreciate the passion.
Thank you so much. We are blown away by the young voices. Give them another round of applause, please. And it's a reminder that actually very often our young ones are smarter, faster than us, but we still, as Wazir, have a few things to share and teach you, but this kind of dialogue is so important. Thank you. I know James wanted to talk to the young man, Sean. I think you will get a chance at a conversation because I must wrap up now.
The economy. Number two, we've been able to work on the agricultural transformation, and we have achieved a number of things under the agricultural transformation pillar. We have been able, for example, to register our farmers. We used to work on guesswork. We didn't know how many farmers we have, where they are, what they grow, the size of their farms, the kind of fertilizer they need. Now we have a register of 7.2 million farmers. We have also been able to increase our production of some of the major value chains in agriculture. Maize production has grown from 44 million bags in 2022 to 75 million bags last year to underwrite our food security. Unga prices have also been moderated from 250 shillings to right now around 140, 150 for 2 kilograms. We've also been able to transform the coffee sector by removing cartels and increasing our production of coffee, and also the income to coffee farmers has now grown from 60, 70 shillings a kilo of cherry to about 120 to 160 per kilogram of cherry. Our tea production has grown from $138 billion shillings, 138 billion shillings in 2022 to last year's 215 billion shillings. Our sugar production has grown from 472,000 metric tons in 2022 to last year's 815,000 metric tons of sugar. And therefore, that is a big milestone in terms of that value chains, and we have now more farmers benefiting in that sector. We have revived the industries and the factories in the sugar sector and so forth and so on. So we are also now the largest producer of processed milk in Africa, because we have moved our milk production, processed milk, from 4.6 billion liters a year in 2022 to currently, by last year, 5.5 billion liters. Kenya now has overtaken 3 other countries, and we are the #1 producer of processed milk in the African continent. So we have done some progress. We are vaccinating our livestock to make sure we get herd immunity so that we can promote exports of livestock products. Right now we have vaccinated 8.9 million heads of cattle, and we're in the process of achieving the target of over 70% immunization. We are also promoting dairy farming, and by also managing the price of sexed semen, which we found at 8,000 per dose, and now it is at 1,400 per dose. More farmers are getting hybrids through sexed semen. So that is agriculture. Number 3, education, very quickly. This is a quick fire. In education, we've done a few things. One, we've been able to streamline CBC curriculum. The uncertainties which were there around the curriculum have now been stabilized.
As well as MTP4. And it is important that we all remember that the administrations that have come from 2008, from the late President Kibaki, President Kenyatta, now President Ruto, have all been on the Vision 2030 program through the 5-year development plans. The challenge, and the Vision 2030 team also gave us a rundown of what has been achieved and accomplished over those 18 years. The political pillar, I think, stands out because the Constitution was delivered. Devolution came in. So MTP1, the Constitution was delivered. MTP2, we had devolution now finally being enacted. We also had infrastructure developments, tremendous ones from the first MTP to the current MTP. We have had infrastructure developments across the board. There were parts of the, we focus a lot on Thika Highway and the Expressway, but there are parts of this country, I should tell Kenyans, that in 2008 were not reachable. The Isiolo-Moyale Road, for instance, didn't exist. And that not only connected the northern part of the country to the center of the country, but actually changed economic activity tremendously. Safety along that highway changed everything. So there's been roads and ports and energy. Kenyans were connected in every corner of this country to electricity. What has been more challenging has been what I would call the longer-term transformation projects, whether they be infrastructure, such as the Greenfield Terminal, the airport, LAPSET, Konza, social infrastructure, social projects, which are fundamental to where.
And this conversation is taking us to our vision. Vision is so important that the scriptures have said that where there is no vision, people perish. So if we don't have a vision as a nation, we will perish. Now, so that we get to our foundation, what do we need to do, or what is our foundation? You will agree with me that many people don't know how to think beyond their lifetime. We just think about this moment when we are here. So even when we are talking about Vision 2060, 63, or beyond 2030, we are thinking about ourselves. That tells us we need to know whom do we need to speak to. And the people we need to speak to is to go down to our children, those who will be who will be alive at that time, so that we don't ignore our youth. We go back to school, we go back to the children and ask them, how would you want to see Kenya? Or where do you see yourself? One day, if I may say this, I call children in front before they go to Sunday school, and I ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Small kids. Everyone was doing, teacher, 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 teacher. You, doctor. You, teacher. You, engineer. You, politician. You, president. You, every one of them. None of them told me, let me go and ask my mother, or let me go and ask my father. Why? Because they have a vision. They have a dream. And we need to go back. So if we need to, where we need to invest is in our schools. So we teach our children, number one, how to be patriotic. One of the problems we have in our nation today is that we are so negative, we never see anything good. And until and unless we go down to the children and we teach them how to be patriotic, and we teach this vision to them so that they can own it. When they own it and they grow up, they become politicians, they will not want to change, to come with their own dreams, because they have a dream they captured from the beginning. When we open up their eyes, they will be able to see beyond what everybody else is seeing. So mine would be that we need to invest in our children and teach them. But we cannot talk about children talking about teachers, because the children will receive that which are given by their teachers. So we also need to take teachers seriously and cause them to see that what they are doing is important. There is nobody in here who never passed through a teacher. So we need to consider teachers, and we need to build on teachers so that they can build on the children. Once the children have captured, this young boy here, 7-year-old, he has a vision, he has a dream. Now, if we get all our children to have dreams and to see what the nation, what a nation they would like to look to see when they are old, they will capture it, they will run with it, and we will not be disappointed. Thank you very much.
Let me speak to someone who you probably consider your child in terms of age, and she's, yes, young enough to be your child. Jean Githinji, as a strategic consultant, you do a lot of work on narratives. And there's what he's given as an example of kids choosing the future. And the vision that they bear is based on a narrative that they have of fashionable careers. You are a creative entrepreneur. So you're looking at beyond the traditional careers that we have. So as you speak to this, tell us a Kenya that you see and hope for in 2060.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. And I love that question because I guess my intervention will be less technical and slightly more poetic. So for me, Kenya is a nation that punches above its weight. So if you look at our contributions from our scholars, our writers, our innovators, you know, we give the world M-Pesa, right? Our athletes, we break world records all the time, and even our contributions to World Agenda. The World Urban Forum was first in Kenya where you can sleep in comfort, that
if there was a country that threw us up on the national agenda is very, very important. But Mark, I also wanted to add that even as we talk about where Kenya is going next and we talk about all these challenges, I think we have to also just discuss about how power manifests in our different spaces. Because, you know, every other day we talk about our policies, our strategies, we talk about all those things, and I don't think what we have is a deficit when it comes to the vision that we are talking about. And I think we also just have to move away, because I'm in spaces and we're always discussing about the goodwill of the person who occupies State House or the goodwill of the people who occupy political institutions. I think we just have to move away from just relying on the goodwill of people who occupy political institutions and State House to how citizens can monitor this process, can hold the people accountable on this process, so that even if you leave office today, because we have owned this process, then we are able to hold you accountable, because we have seen the power of the young people and the citizens when it comes to holding leaders accountable, whether it's the finance bill, whether it's the county development plans. And so if the citizens don't own this process, then we're going to have the same challenge that you spoke about, where when a leader leaves office, some of the plans are abandoned. But more importantly, Mark, as I wind up on my point, is with the power holders, who decides where the resources are going to be invested is very important. The agenda setting is very, very important. And I think that's why other people feel like they're left behind. And so if we unpack the power dynamics in this country, then I think we'll be off to a good space.
All right. I believe, and Mike, you can just keep this mic handy as well, pun intended. But as you get a feel of the room and help us get as many people. As you noticed, we only had one round of a question, and just that second one to get us to what we are asking. What's next? Doesn't have to be a question. What do you think? What is next?
Asante sana. Mimi naitwa Jasper Moses Mrutu kutoka Taita Taveta from Pare Council of Elders. Pare Council of Elders inasimamia wapare ambao wametengwa kwa miaka mingi sana. Mimi katika kwenda mbele, manake mambo mengi yamezungumzwa, nitaongea kwa bullets. Mapendekezo yangu ni kwamba in 2063 I envision a nation that is developed in whose development is anchored in the Constitution and more specific in the Bill of Rights. Second, I envision 2063 a nation built in foundation of socio-economic inclusion of all communities and groups, including minority and marginalized communities of Kenya. I envision a nation that strengthens, a nation strengthened with the cement of affirmative action for the minority and marginalized communities in Kenya and other disadvantaged communities. I envision a nation with a citizenry and leadership that respects and adhere to its own plans, rules, and policies. That is discipline and integrity. Thank you.
Asante sana, nitaenda nyuma kidogo. Asanteni kwa upande huu. Nitaenda nyuma kidogo kwa vijana pia. Kuna kijana hapa.
Na ukielekea, maybe we'll take one from here, and kindly keep it as short as possible. We have so many people and would like to contribute as much as possible. Let's also concentrate on what next. What do you see as the next step?
Thank you so much. Kwa majina naitwa Mwansa, son of Mwansa. Mimi ni kijana wa Mukuru. Wengi wameongea Kizungu, mimi nitaongea Sheng. Nakwambia rais, mimi kama kijana wa Mukuru Affordable Estate nimekuwa nikiishi kwa streets. Sasa hii umenitransform na kaa kutoka affordable house. Hiyo ndio Kenya ambayo ninataka kuona 2060. Kenya ambayo hata ule kijana mdogo, mimi kama Rasta, mimi ndio mrasta hapa ndani. Hii ndio equality ambayo unaongelelea. Kwamba pia sisi wa Rasta hatutaona kama wezi, but pia tunaona kama watu wa maana. Through affordable house nimeweza kusave pesa. Yenye nilikuwa nalipa rent ya mama yangu na yangu, sasa hii nimerudi shule, niko MKU Law School, karibu namaliza shule. nikuwe wakili kama mtu wa wengine. Mimi kama mtu wa streets ambayo nilikuwa naibia watu hii town, saa hii ninakaa affordable. Saa hii vijana wangu wanafanya kazi Bomas, Talanta Stadium na wengine hata huko Maurironi wako napata kichele. Saa hii hatuna reason ya kuibia watu, lakini tunapata pesa na tutapeleka Kenya mbele. So kwa hivyo rais, kwa hayo mengi na machache, nasema tutakusupport, na sisi kama vijana wale ambao wanapata affordable hostel wote tutakusupport tuweze kupeleka Kenya mbele ili tuweze kufika 2060. Asanteni sana na Mungu aibariki Kenya.
Asante, twende kwako Gitonga.
Your Excellency, I want to thank you very much for introducing this bold path for Vision 2060. It has come at the nick of time. Vision 2030 build the physical structures for our country. We recognize the immense infrastructure groundwork laid down in the lifespan of Kenya Vision 2030. As we approach now the new dispensation of Vision 2060, our national conversation must start drifting from building physical assets to maximizing technology and technological production, so that we are able to open up more openings for jobs for the youth and other people. Post-2030 era must therefore be driven purely by data, artificial intelligence, and modern technology. If Kenya is to transition into a global competitive, high-income, first-world nation, in this generation, technology cannot be treated as a separate sector. Technology must be the operating system for the entire economy. It is the core engine for agriculture sector, for trade, for manufacturing, for health. Therefore, we need to invest more in technology, especially.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais, mtukufu Rais, kwa ajili ya hili kongamano. Niruhusu niongee kidogo kwa ajili ya wana health ama healthcare. Na nataka kupea shukrani ya dhati kama healthcare fraternity representing the Cancer Society of this country. My name is Phoebe from Kenyan Network of Cancer Organizations. Tulipoongea tukakuelezea kuhusu SHA, ulisikia na ukafanya ile inaitwa expanded package. Kwa hiyo tunasema kwa oncology benefit, tunasema kuendelea kwa future. Tungependa kuona future ambayo hospitali inaenda kwa wagonjwa na sio wagonjwa kukuja kwa hospitali. Hiyo inamaanisha nini? Kuhakikisha kwamba primary healthcare, prevention na primary healthcare imesisitizwa pale mashinani, kwa sababu already tuko na wale wanaitwa community health promoters. How well can we make use of them to ensure that in the vision we are not handling a sick country, because looking at the statistics in the future the numbers of non-communicable diseases are meant to arise. But how do we ensure that even as we move to the future there is more healthy population? And that is just strengthening what Singapore has done, primary healthcare and prevention healthcare, and strengthening what you already started with the universal health coverage to ensure that we talk prevention. Where are the diseases? Diseases are in the urban planning, they're in the schools, they're in the food industries. How do we ensure they're in the lifestyles? How do we ensure that we speak promotion more and speak prevention more? And we can assure you that if we do that and handle primary healthcare, community healthcare, and prevention, we will ensure there is not only a prosperous future for this country, but a healthier 2063 and beyond. Thank you.
Asante.
Jambo jambo Kenya. Melala jambo jambo Kenya. My name is Rosalyn Alionya from Kakamega County. I'm a young person from the ODM party, and I'm privileged to be here. Now, in the Azimio manifesto in the previous election, my party leader had an idea of having one county produce one product. And I'm seated here wondering, if my county Kakamega produces maize, why is it that we have maize milling farms in Thika, we have maize milling farms in Nairobi, and not have those maize milling farms in Kakamega, so that those farmers and their children also, apart from doing the agriculture, they can also take part in the processing of the sugar and the selling of the sugar. And if we devolve this development project that you're talking about, we'll be able to create more jobs even in the marginalized communities. So if we can be able to look at this issue of one county, one product, it will be a great deal. Lastly, I've heard Professor Hin from Japan talk about us focusing on childhood education. But why is it that when as Alana gets good grades, we always create for them an ample opportunity? When they're getting maybe 400 marks from primary, they get an opportunity in a national school. When they get good grades, they get an opportunity in good universities. But when these children get first-class honors, we never really create a platform for them so that these brains are able to transition directly into the human capital of our industries within the country so that we are not able to export them outside. Lastly, ya mwisho, mimi kama mkazi wa Kakamega, I want shiny things, Mr. President.
Asante sana. What next? Ndio kitu ambacho tunauliza. What next?
Kwa majina naitwa Hilary Kiptanui Cheruiyot. I am a professional marathon athlete, and I was privileged. I'm very happy to be given this by a particular juncture, even as professional marathon athlete, to put our input in this conversation. Kwa leo tungetaka kushukuru President wa Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, kwa sababu kuna vitu tunaona kama wakimbiaji yenye amefanya, na sisi kama wanariadha hapo awali hatukuwa tunaona kama tuko na mwelekeo. Na ya muhimu sana kuhusu hii maneno Vision 2030 and beyond, sisi kama wanariadha tungetaka kusaidia wa Kenya. Kwa vile mnatuelewa, sisi kama wanariadha tumeweka Kenya kwa picha mzuri pale duniani. Na kwa hivyo sisi kama wanariadha tungetaka tena tupewe chance ya kuweza kumarket, tuwekwe front kwa hii Vision 2030 and beyond. Tuweze kama wanariadha kusaidia wa Kenya na kusaidia president kushika mkono kwa hii vision. Alafu ya pili, kama mwanariadha tuko na agenda kama wanariadha tuweze kuchukua Kenya, tusaidia wa Kenya, tusaidie Kenya kuchukua Kenya ielekee Singapore. Tuko na mipango ya kukimbia, kutumia hii talanta yetu yenye Mungu ametusaidia, tukimbie hata tunapokimbia dunia. Tuweze kuonyesha Kenya sisi tuko na agenda ya kuchukua Kenya to Singapore and beyond. Within Vision 2030 tunataka kupewa forum ama platform kama wanariadha, tuweze kuketi na president, tuweke mipangilio yetu kwa meza kama wanariadha, ndio tukue considered pia sisi. Asante.
Please pick two more questions from that side. We'll pick from this side. Naona hapo ndio mambo iko moto kabisa. Kisha tuanze sasa kumalizia. So 2 questions from that side, as we also get 2 questions from this side as we get closer to winding up.
Thank you. Please allow me to use the stage so that everyone can see me. Thank you. To everyone present, good morning. Good afternoon, sorry, good afternoon. I am Young Fortune. I'm a host of a kids program in Citizen TV, and I also sing gospel songs under 7 Heaven Music, which is owned by Guardian Angel. I am so thankful for this opportunity, and first of all, I want to thank God for giving us this wisdom to actually gather as a nation to talk about something good that will come into the future. Let me tell you, people of Kenya, your children are very, very talented. Do you know that? They are very talented. They have the passion. They have everything that it takes. But there's one thing that they are lacking. It's that support that we need from the government. I would love to request if every county can have a big center where every child there their talent can be nurtured so that they can be able to grow. We look in the social media. Other countries, children are supported. They go outside their countries to share what they have. But in Kenya, we feel a bit of left out. And if that could happen, we would be so happy. In programs like this, let us be called. Let us show you guys what we can do. I also have a point on something I feel is very, very important, and we have not talked about it well. It is the environment. As we know, we have climate change, right? Do you know that we have climate change? And as we move forward, I feel like if we don't work on it, then we are going to be experiencing a worse something worse than what we are experiencing right now, right? So I would love us to take this a chance to continue planting trees. Let the government make sure that industries are using the correct methods to dispose their waste. Yes, so that is what I felt I needed to tell you. Thank you so much for this program. It is very, very helpful. You are building our country, and we feel that we are seen. May God bless Kenya, and may we all work together towards achieving this.
We
Thank
have a
you.
question on this side. One question, Mark, on this side.
Asante, asante. Wakumalizia upande huu kindly.
Hello, Your Excellency. This is Peter Joshua from Kakamega. I'm presenting Nyota, youth from Kakamega region. Now, I have one question. As you know, many youths have got difficulty in accessing financing. In your government, you said something to do with AGPO. AGPO, access to government procurement opportunities for youths. You said that 30% belongs to youths. Now, sometimes we get those chances, yes, but financing, after getting LPO from the national government, to finance that LPO is very hard for us. So how can this government help us to finance those LPOs as we proceed with supplying new products with national government? Recently, I secured national government LPO worth 600,000 that was to supply 100 bags of maize, but it was turned down due to lack of enough finances. Now, how can this government help us in Vision 2060 to be able to accommodate the youth in accessing the national government funds without requesting for collateral securities? That is logbook and what we call title deeds, which many of youth under 25 doesn't have any of those, Your Excellency. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Diana Mwansia, a student leader from JKUAT, a school rep, School of Communication and Development Studies. My question is, we have had the conversation about the national conversation about Beyond 2030 vision. My question is, after this, what's next? Yes, what's the step after this? Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark Masai.
Asante
Take it
sana.
away.
What next? And perhaps you've read my notes because that is the last question. 30 seconds to all of us. What next? The question has been posed to the president, and he will answer it as a citizen as well when we invite him not to conclude, but to invite the start of this national conversation. Asanteni sana for the passion that you have shown to speak and to weigh in on this. It's not the last day. It's just the first of a journey we've started. A journey he has walked. So in 30 seconds, what next? Mogo.
Thank you. Very quickly, 2 quick points on the way forward. Learning from the lessons of Vision 2030, the challenge of continuity. I want to reiterate the notion that we do need a national law that entrenches Vision 2063. And for that to happen, because you can't ring-fence budgets and performance management to specific flagship projects without that. That's a lesson that we've learned. We need to do that. But for that to happen, we need a robust conversation, a robust national conversation across the entire country. And hopefully, just to take Professor Hino's suggestion of a committee of experts, that committee of experts must be properly constituted, credible, independent, be able to elevate the discourse about politics, and most importantly, engage the public through different mediums or media. The younger generation, as demonstrated by the Hack Kenya 63 group that came here, is an example of many ways of engaging the public. So the committee of experts will have to find a way to engage that type of a public as well. And those diverse media and be able also to carry the conversation to differentiate between the long-term objectives of Vision 2063 and what is immediate. Because what's clearly emerging is that we've got immediate needs that must be addressed, but at the same time, we must think about the future of this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think for me is to say that Kenya at 2063 does not just look at housing in terms of building more homes, but how safe are we in those homes? Not just more roads, but how safe are we when it comes to using those roads? How inclusive are those roads when it comes to even people with disability accessing those roads? Not just bora kazi, but what is the quality of the work that people are doing? Access to dignified lives, meaningful work, and also reducing the underemployment so that you can match your skills to the work that you wanted to do after school. Kenya at 2063 is able to redistribute care work, is able to reduce the amount of time our caregivers are spending on care work, and they're able to take that time when it comes to development. Kenya at 2063 does not treat violence and femicide as just a gender issue or a women's issue, but it treats femicide and violence as a national security issue that is actually a threat to our development. Kenya at 2063 is just not looking at building more classrooms, but also the quality of education that our children are accessing when it comes to those classrooms, the quality of diet our children are accessing before they even enter that classroom. And lastly, Kenya at 2063 is representative when it comes to women and youth being represented in political institutions, so that we're not talking about a country where the median age is 19, but then the median age of a politician in the continent is 63, and you can get to see that gap. So a country where the majority of the citizens in this country are able to see themselves, not just at the table, but they are also able to shape the conversations on that particular table. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I think this is on. So I think what next is demonstrated by our open mic session. People need to be heard. So we need to convene these forums where people speak their heart, speak their vision, and then we need to listen. And then our committee of experts can craft those into plans that can deliver a lived experience that reflects the aspiration, the dreams of Kenyan people. Thank you.
Thank you. 3 things. I think the first one is, for us from a capital markets perspective, we would love that the capital markets is embedded in Vision 2060. What does that mean? What that means is that every Kenyan, if you have a business, if you have a project, you are able to actually come to our market and raise capital seamlessly without friction. We need to make that possible. Number 2, we need to be able to democratize wealth. Why? You know, I keep going back to our national anthem because I truly, truly do believe it's our regional vision. The national anthem talks about farm may we stand to defend. People will only defend something they own. In order for us to be able to defend the vision in terms of its crafting and implementation, we need people to own both the vision as well as the underlying resources that go to making the vision a reality. And then the last thing is, we actually want to have more listings in our market. We want to have more privatizations, and the government has done a fantastic job of enabling that to happen. Case in point, the Kenya pipeline. But we want to have more of these homegrown businesses listed on the exchange. That way, every Kenyan has a stake. Once Kenyans have a stake, it's much easier and better for them to defend the vision and actually carry it through, whether there's change of government or not, whether there's political ebb or flow, but then the vision stays. Lastly, Mark, we need the vision embedded in law. There needs to be a legal framework that captures the vision and embeds it in law. Number 2, the implementation of the vision needs to be institutionalized. We can't leave it to chance. Number 3, it needs to be audited periodically so that we course correct when we are off the vision.
Not just at the tail end. Marianne.
Thank you. I think what is important, every bus needs a driver to move the bus forward. So what needs to be identified is who is the driver. Who will this committee report to? Is it Adrian? And I'm very willing to vote for Adrian to be the leader of this, because there must be accountability. So identifying that for me, I think, is most critical. Excuse me. The other thing I want, the enablers must also be looked at in the process. It's my voice. Thank you. Oh, sorry. The enablers are very critical. Policy must support strategy and not the other way around. When we develop policies, it's in order for the strategy to work so that we can achieve the objectives. Sometimes we forget. We develop policy and then the elephants on the ground are struggling to determine where do we go. Thank you.
Foundations. Building the foundation. We need to build the foundation of this vision, and we build it right. Once the foundation has been built and the committee of experts comes up, then we sell the vision. Sell the vision to the right people. And the right people, let's not ignore our children. Let's not ignore our youth. That way, we will be able to have a continuity in whatever we do. So the foundation is very important. Selling the vision is very important. Let's get influencers to know that the church is a great place of influence. Don't forget the church. Spread to the pastors so we can get the Sunday school, and this will be established in their lives, and Kenya will move forward. Thank you very much.
Yes, a round of applause. And the president, I think, is giving you a standing ovation.
Thank you very much.
As he comes to give also his reflections.
Diana Mwanzia has asked me a very direct question. What next? And I have ideas on what next. But I would rather we agree on what next together. And I would want what next to come from us. Because having the benefit of the office that I hold and being a Kenyan, I have some ideas. But I would rather that we all agree on what next. Let me say two things so that I can suggest, if I may. Listening to everybody who has had the privilege of the mic here, I am persuaded beyond reasonable doubt that we have what it takes to design the next future for Kenya. Listening to the young people here, listening to people from the private sector, listening to the tech community, listening to the civil society teams around this table, and all the other professionals, it is clear to me that we have what it takes to think about the future, that Kenya cannot afford to drift into the future. We have to have a plan for that future. I have listened to the young man, sorry, I don't remember his name, who talked about startups, and that is the next horizon. That is the place where we'll create more jobs. The tech space. And he has even suggested that there should be some compulsory learning around technology because that is how the future is going to look like. Maybe we may not go all the way to make it compulsory, but we provide sufficient incentives to make sure that there are more people in that space. And all the other suggestions that have been made around this forum. My suggestion is that, as I said earlier, this should not be a government project. Government should facilitate this conversation. Article 3 of the Constitution obligates each and every Kenyan individually to protect and defend the Constitution. we are discussing in this conversation how we are going to actualize some of our constitutional rights, whether it is access to health, whether it is, as well as has been said here very ably, whether it is access to education, the best quality education, whether it is how we are going to deliver on making sure there is no hunger, every Kenyan has something to eat, and not just something to eat. We have been told here nutrition is very good for our children. How do we make sure that that is available? All the way to every other constitutional right that has been provided for by our Constitution. How do we do that together? So my suggestion is that we put together a multi-sectoral team chosen by the different sectors. The religious sector can give us people, private sector can give us some people, knowledgeable. Civil society can suggest to us who they want. All the other sectors can suggest to us who they want in this team. Because learning from what we have done in the past, and I have been part of those processes, whether it is the constitution-making process or all the other processes, we've always done it together as Kenyans, not by government appointing people, but by citizens suggesting leaders who can lead this process into the future. So my suggestion, and it is not, it's just a suggestion, is maybe we ask different sectors to suggest people who can lead this process into the future, people they trust, people they believe in, so that they can lead us in this process. And then maybe that group of multi-sectoral committee or leaders can then give us a roadmap. If we need a body of experts to help us think through and to consolidate all our thoughts, my suggestion would be whatever it is that we do, they should not go and dictate to citizens what they think. They should go and listen to citizens, for citizens themselves to tell us how they want this to go into the future. I also agree that part of the challenge we had with Vision 2030 was that it wasn't underpinned by any law. It was a mere suggestion. And therefore, different administrations decided what to do. They were not obligated in any way to implement the national vision. So others came, reversed this, others came, tried to push that, and it wasn't coherent. If we do not have a coherent plan, then we drift. And therefore, it is important that we also agree on legislation that is going to guardrail Kenya into where we all want it to go. So that whoever is in office, whoever the president is, they cannot sabotage our collective progress, or they cannot interfere with where we want to go as a nation. It becomes the responsibility of every leader who has an opportunity to take us faster into the destination we agree as Kenyans. So that would be my suggestion on how we take this forward. I am sure there are many suggestions around this table, and we must agree, or let me request that we agree, that if my suggestion is good, I must be willing to give way to a better suggestion by somebody else. And if that somebody else's suggestion is better, they must also be willing to give up to the best suggestion so that we can all move forward together. So that would be my suggestion. Maybe other people can also have an idea of how we take this forward. Because I think one thing is a given, that we are here, it is now upon us, Article 3 of the Constitution, that we are obligated to think about how we move. And each one of us has as much obligation as I do as a citizen for us to give our input of where we want Kenya to be. I deliberately avoided in my statement 2060 or 2063 or 20. That should be also a suggestion by Kenyans. Beyond 2030, what do we want to call it? How do we want to frame that future? And we want to do it together. Finally, I want to ask those of us who are here. We have student leaders, we have religious leaders, we have business leaders, we have political leaders. We must not abscond duty. We must not run away from responsibility. I know there is a temptation. We have civil society leaders. All of us have a stake in Kenya. So sometimes people want somebody else to do. You know, but you know that somebody else could as well be yourself. So each and every one of us must take ownership, and we must not escape responsibility or run away from our obligation as leaders. And that is why I'm asking all the leaders to work together so that we can facilitate all the citizens to participate in this process. I can just say from a government standpoint that we are available to make all resources available for this process to be truly people-centered, citizen-driven, future-looking. We are ready for that. Thank you very much. Maybe just so that we can benefit from some wisdom, we have one of us, an elder in this room, Dr. Oburu Oginga. He should also...
And as he comes, we may have our seats. Asante sana.
Hi. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Deputy President, and all protocols observed, dear delegates. Delegates, I'm also just one of you. I'm so impressed, highly impressed by the energy of the youth. The youth has so much energy, and I'm happy that our country has a future. Because when you have such vibrant youth, then you know that this country will be in safe hands. And the development of this country to the level of Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, my late brother used to worry the president, and he used to worry us in the party when we were drafting our own manifestos, that how can we, if at independence in 1963-64, Singapore was exactly at the same level of development as Kenya. Singapore, in terms of income per capita, in terms of the NDP, in terms of GDP, in terms of GDP and development growth. We were exactly at the same level. And my brother used to ask that question. What did Singapore do to rise up to a level where their incomes are now 40 times, incomes per capita are now 40 times that of Kenya? We must think as Kenyans. Where did we go wrong? And where did Singapore go right? That they achieved that level. Professor Hino, who was advisor to Raila when he was Prime Minister, has given you where Singapore is and where Kenya is. He has not told you why Kenya is there and Singapore is there. He only told you where Singapore is. And where Singapore is reachable. We can reach it if we do what Singapore did. First, we must deal with this animal called corruption. Corruption is very difficult to eliminate. It is very difficult. I've traveled all over the world, but I know it is possible to build a society which is non-tolerant to corruption. We can build a society which is completely non-tolerant to corruption. We need also to reduce government wastage. Wastage in government. We need to tighten our belts, those who are in government. Let us tighten our belts for the people, for the sake of the people of Kenya. And let us make sure that our young population is educated. Education is the only equalizer. And there is no shortcut to education. You have to educate young people who are trained in technical subjects so that you can attract investment. Government can only do infrastructure. Government cannot do development. Development is for the private sector. Government can only participate a little here and there. But for you to attract the private sector, you need to educate the young people. You are not going to import labor from elsewhere. The labor must come from us here. We have to get employment, and the employment is creatable. We can create it only if we educate our young people, and we also need to invest in research. People are talking about development, but they don't think that industry needs innovation. And industry cannot invest in innovation because it is too expensive. In every development plan, government should invest and support universities so that universities develop their capacities to do research, and research which is related to the industries, so that the industries can be innovative and therefore we become competitive in the international market. Kenya must be competitive. The world is moving so fast, and you cannot sleep and think that you only want to feed your people. Feeding your people is a responsibility of the government, making sure that people are fed. But the government will not do your farming for you. Government can only make your fertilizer cheaper. But farming must be done by us. Government must facilitate. For those who have lived as long as I have, I don't know how many of them here, they don't know how difficult it is to gather like this. We tried it when we were struggling for the Constitution, and we gathered for a national dialogue in Bomas in the 90s. And we were caned, we were beaten up by police, some people ended up in jail. for fighting for that constitution because the government did not like it. When the second bombers came under President Kibaki, the government was very supportive of the process. The government supported the process. But during the end, when the government realized that some of the ideas which are coming out of national dialogue is not favorable, the government decided to scuttle it. And therefore, that national dialogue came up to nothing. That Boma's draft is still there, lying in the shelves, and it was produced by Kenyans. So when you have a supportive president who has paid, who is ready to pay for this forum to continue, those of our colleagues who are missing here are missing an opportunity. And an opportunity comes only but once, it never comes again. If you miss it, you will never find it again. Because you will not find another President Ruto, maybe another president comes with some other ideas and we will not like the ideas. I like the experts here. They are very good. They are very, very good. But you can be so good if you don't have a supportive president. You can have good ideas, but they will lie in the shelves for good. So take this opportunity and make your ideas catapult into fruition, and let us make sure that this forum comes out with a good vision which will guide Kenya up to 2060. 2060. Some of us will not be there. But we are so happy that Kenyans are thinking about it, and I'm so happy. Thank you very much. And I want to thank you. Power is there, and power is supporting you. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A round of applause for Powerman. Thank you very much, Mzee. Thank you very much. I think by way of winding up, I want one governor to speak on behalf of the governors who are here to tell us what are their thoughts on how do we take this process forward. Also, to a representative from the National Assembly and Senate, for them to give us suggestions on how they think this should go forward so that we can agree. I think they have done a lot of listening, and I think it is time for them also to give us suggestions on whether we need a legal framework to establish and to facilitate this process, or whether we need, and whether if we go to Parliament, they will allocate the resources to facilitate this national conversation. I also have listened to the young people. Already, they have worked on a platform, the Hackathon 100. And they have said they will use that platform to collect and to process suggestions from young people and on the digital space. I would suggest that we facilitate that process so that we can collate and collect those views in that manner. Do we have a member of parliament who wants to, or a governor who wants to make a suggestion? The Council of Governors Chair, my good brother, please take the floor.
Thank you. I'll use that one. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, all protocols observed. Your Excellency, I think in my mother tongue we usually say, or in our setting, don't speak because you've not spoken if there is nothing additional to say. I've heard everyone here I've seen all the energy. I was conversing with Dr. Ndi there that the first person to have thanked God for giving us the opportunity to be here and to have this conversation was the young girl. And that tells you how smart our kids are. I just want to assure you, Your Excellency, as the Council of Governors, we have bought into this idea. It is timely. I think it is not wise for our politicians to suggest that we postpone this just because we'll have elections next year. Government is there in perpetuity, and as a responsible president who is facing an election, you did the right thing to take note of the fact that the vision that we've had is expiring in less than how many years? 3 years from now, and that you have set the process for replacing it. Your Excellency, we have so much going right for Kenya. And we have seen what Professor Hino also presented, that we've come a long way in implementing the vision that we had. But I want to tell Kenyans to understand that the tone at the top, having the right people in the right places, will also determine whether whatever vision we craft will see the light of day. There are countries, even in the developed world, that have gotten their governance so wrong, their politics so wrong. They have had 7 prime ministers in 5 years, and they are declining. If we don't get governance right, if we don't get politics right, we will not have the right tone at the top, and whatever we're doing here will not be properly implemented. So much as we've been reminded that we're facing elections in 1 year, the Kenyans who are going to elect a president and are going to elect governors, and I will not be one of those governors because I'm already serving my 2nd term, are seated here and are watching. The decisions that you make will determine whether whatever we are crafting here will actually be implemented in the manner that we've seen visions implemented. Your Excellency, as we now cascade this down to the counties, on behalf of the Council of Governors, we want to assure you that we will support it, that the concern by one of the ladies in the panel here, that the contributions and the views will be inclusive. Everyone representing every sector, every part of the community will have an opportunity to contribute. Last but not least, Your Excellency, this is the first vision that's been implemented under the new constitution while counties are in existence and are functional and operational. We have seen what standardization of thought and standardization of implementation can do to equalize this country. Today, affordable housing is happening in Mandera, it's happening in Nairobi, it's happening in Bungoma, it's happening everywhere. This vision that we're crafting now not ought to be one of 2 Kenyas, the Kenya with potential and the Kenya without. It ought to be one for all of Kenya. Professor Hino, who was sitting next to me, told me how when he went to Turkana, they were asking him, as you came here, have you come through Kenya? Right? They knew he was from Japan, but to find out whether he's been through Nairobi, walikuwa wanamuuliza ulipitia Kenya. That story is now gone. We are all in Kenya. Whether you are the Mandera border, or at Raskamboni border with, in Lamu, or you are in, and the border to Tanzania, at the Tanzania border. We have one country, Your Excellency, under your leadership. We are seeing development across the whole of Kenya, and Vision 2063 will help us move faster to attain equality and inclusivity. God bless you all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Can we have somebody from Parliament, representing Parliament, to come and say something? Please give him the mic. Please, if you can speak to how do we make this an exercise in public participation as is envisaged by the Constitution.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And Your Excellency, in fact, with the consent of the leader of majority in the Senate, he was telling me that actually what we are doing here today is what Parliament should be doing. We have today constituted ourselves as a People's Constituent Assembly to start that journey of even anchoring this process into law, as you say. And I want to say that we support. And indeed, Your Excellency, you remember on Monday in our meeting in Naivasha, I did suggest that probably it's time that when we have a national vision like this, we not only anchor it in law, but we also find a way where within the governance structures of our political parties, we ensure that even at a time as this, when we are looking at elections and we're looking at people crafting their election manifestos, that all political parties and elective leaders who are looking for elective positions speak to that greater national vision so that we hold you to account when you get elected as to what you are doing within your manifesto in actualizing that dream, that greater dream of the Kenyan nation. Your Excellency, Senate Majority Leader is telling me that I should say that since we craft laws or we have legislative proposals that we draft into bills and then take those bills back to the people for public participation, what we've actually done today is begun with public participation. And we must look at a way where from this process, we then culminate in a legislative proposal in terms of a bill that will now anchor this process of a national vision into law so that we obligate all future leaders to the time we are 100 years as a nation and beyond in law and make sure that nobody ever gets us, takes us backward in terms of what we want to aspire to get to as a nation. Lastly, Your Excellency, in the interest of time, Mheshimiwa Esther Pasari, women rep for Nairobi, reminds me and told me I must say this if I get that opportunity, and she doesn't get, that when Singapore aspired to be what it is today, they had a consideration on their population growth and family planning. And she tells me and reminds me that President Mwai Kibaki, in around 2008 when we were doing Vision 2030, did speak to us on the need to look at our population growth and how we plan for that population growth. Your Excellency, is food for thought, because you've also told us that by the year, you say 2050, yes, a quarter of the population, world population, will be in Africa. Population is both a resource, but can also be a burden to a nation's economy. And therefore, there must be a very good balance between the rate at which our population grows and the rate at which we grow our economy. And those are the challenges that we must think about as we continue in this conversation. Your Excellency, let me give you the assurance of both houses of Parliament that we shall do all that it takes. And indeed, Your Excellency wanted to suggest that probably, because Parliament works through committees, I do not know whether through this forum, we could also constitute committees that will go out, probably one to sit in Nairobi and another that goes around the country, collecting and collating the views of Kenyans so that every part of our country feels that they are part and parcel of this process. As Mugo Kibati told us, being the first CEO of the Vision 2030, there's probably something we didn't get right when we started this process of Vision 2030. We never really involved the people, and we left it to be a process that was largely seen to be a process of bureaucrats in government, and probably That is why many Kenyans never hold successive administrations after the Kibaki administration on what we are doing towards the realization of Vision 2030. The other thing Mogo told us is that we never anchored this process into law, and that's why Your Excellency agreed with what you said. It is time that we anchor this process into law. With those many remarks, Your Excellency, wacha nikomee hapo na sote tuendelee na mazungumzo.
Okay. Can I, let me get representations from 3 final ones. A member of the civil society, what suggestion do you have for us in terms of taking this process forward? Do we set up a multi-sectoral committee? Do we set up a task force? Do we do it in law, or how do we do it? Can I have somebody from civil society to give us a suggestion? Daisy? Then maybe somebody from the religious community will give us their suggestion. And then finally, get somebody from the private sector to give us their suggestion.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I want to agree with those who have said that it needs to be anchored in law. For sure, the vision has to exist beyond any political formation, any political leader. And so we are happy to hear the majority leader say that Parliament will make the necessary legislation. But in terms of participation, I think having an initial multi-sectoral forum would do well, so that you are able to involve as many different sectors, because the gentleman here has asked me to insist and say that even minority communities must be included. We may talk about communities, but within those communities, we have other communities whose voices need to be heard. And so I think that to structure it, we do need to have a multi-sectoral engagement with the different players. Even when you talk about civil society, it is very wide. We have women's rights organizations, human rights defenders, and a host of them all. And so moving forward, I hope that we can have a framework that guarantees that every voice, at least representatives from the different voices, will be heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Somebody from faith-based to give us suggestion on how they think this should go forward. Okay, we have a bishop there. Maybe you can let us know your name.
My name is Kanga from the National Council of Churches of Kenya. And we have nothing to add or nothing to subtract. But as Nate has said, and then we put in action. Simple. The vision is there. The vision is documented. The vision is be sold to people. The people have to buy it. We give it time and then be accomplished before 2030 as we move on. It will be illogical to know that we have today and you don't think about tomorrow. You have tomorrow, you don't think about a day after tomorrow. If you do that, that's illogical. We have the vision, have an all-round task force to do the needful, collect information, sell it to the people, come back again, and then get running. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Somebody from the private sector? Yes.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm Dr. Ruto Eric, the President of the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry. We're very happy with this vision because, Your Excellency, if you look at Vision 2030, on the political wing, I think we scored 100%, if not beyond. In terms of the social aspects, we most likely scored 80%. But when it comes to the economic side, Your Excellency, I think that is where we are not doing very well. That for us in the private sector, when you tell us that we want to go to Singapore, I was seated there and I was thinking, I should be very proud as a Singaporean that Kenya today is at standstill and we want to go to Singapore. Us in the private sector, when you tell us that our turnover should increase 40, 50 times, we want to do business where there is wealth. And Your Excellency, we are 100% in support. As the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, all sizes of businesses from across the country, as far as Mandera, as far as Lamu, I was there 2 weeks ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Today is the International Youth Day, and we have huge representation of young people in our midst. Can I get one young person to come to the stage? And there is a lady already there, yeah? Allow the lady in maroon to give us an idea as to how do we take this forward in your context. Apart from hackathon, how else do you want us to take this forward? Na kabla hujasema, utatueleza bag ni ya nini?
Thank you so much, Mr. President. They do say, power is done what? Is grabbed. Sindio? So I came for my chance. My name is Ruth Kemuto Ziko. I come from Bomet University. I'm the school president. Nilinua mkono huko sana lakini hawakunipea. So nimeamua kuikujia mwenyewe. So Mr. President, before maybe I give on the way forward, I had some good agendas that I wanted to give on this vision beyond 2030. 2030 is for the youths, is for the children that were here. So whatever that the parliament, the people sitting here will be doing is for us. It's for the coming generation. So give us the voice. Give us time, we give you our grievances. Number one, let's talk about, you are talking about Singapore. Singapore sahi haina deni. So as we think on going to beyond 2030, let's think on how can we get away with all the debts that Kenya is having for any country. Number two, I'm talking about constitutional implementation. Women, we are the majority in Kenya, right? Why can't we implement the constitution to have the president, if it's a man, let the deputy be a lady, right? And lastly, being honest, Mr. President, employment is what the youths want. But not every youth will be employed because sisi ni wengi na sisi wote tumesoma. But because unemployment is an issue to us, why don't you bring up the policies that will give funds to innovators, fund talents, fund support different people, give them money like the Nyota for self-employment. And for that, Mr. President, bring Nyota to universities and colleges. We are innovators too. And lastly, it's about the help, scholarship, and funding in different universities and TVETs. As we think of